Hey, what's up guys? My name is Mike and welcome to the Tipsy Goat. Today we have a new Duskmourn Commander deck tech, but with a little twist. We're gonna do a €50 Precon upgrade. As for the Precon, it's probably my favorite Precon that came out this year. It's the Endless Punishment Precon. With at the helm, Valgavoth, Harrower of Souls. Valgavoth is a 4-mana Rakdos commander. It's an Elder Demon that has Flying and Ward pay 2 life, and has the following ability. Whenever an opponent loses life in each of their turns, put a 1/1 counter on Valgavoth and draw a card. The name of the Precon is Endless Punishment, and that's exactly what we are going to do. While our opponents are burning with every action they take, we are drawing cards. We laugh, they cry. It's the perfect Rakdos strategy. Now, let's take a look at some of the key cards in the deck. First off, we have the Punishment. We want to burn our opponents with every action they take. They're gonna play a land, they're gonna lose a life. They're gonna play a creature, they're gonna lose a life. They have artifacts, they will lose a life. They tap mana, they lose a life. They're gonna grab something from the fridge, they lose a life. It's very easy. These are some of my favorite cards to punish our opponents. First off, we have Ancient Runes. It's a card that punishes people for having a lot of artifacts. There's one thing we like to do in Commander, and that's to ramp. So we get to punish the people that ramp. Next up, we have Rampaging Ferocidon. What's another thing we like to do in Commander? Exactly, play creatures. For every creature someone puts into play, they lose a life. So every big token strategy will be destroyed by this cute little dinosaur. And next up, we have an amazing reprint. It's Catteric Parasite. What do we all love to do most in Commander? You guessed it, draw a card. So whenever an opponent draws a card in their turn, we do 1 damage to them, and then we get to draw a card. It's like sharing the fun, but they lose life and we get cards. The next set of cards will make our opponents hurt more. It's like going from lightly choking to full BDSM. We have new cards like Torture Pit. It's a rune that says if you play it on the right side, non-combat damage is increased by 2. So that means our punishment hurts more because everything is non-combat damage. Then we have Solfin Mayhem Dominus, which just doubles all the non-combat damage we do. And then we have cards like Dictate of the Twin Gods, which just doubles all the damage that's done for everyone. So we get to share the pain. More pain, more pleasure. Alright, before we take a look at the deck, please consider subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. You guys are gonna help us out so much. Let's talk about the cards that I put in personally. I put in 3 Mountains and 3 Swamps. I put in a Toxic Deluge, a Challenge Ignition, a Mandate of Abaddon, a Chain Reaction, an Ancient Runes, an Osier Oxenil, Mana Barbs, Matewing Lizard, Dictate of the Twin Gods, Furnace of Wrath, Torbrun, Painful Quandary, Decanter of Endless Water, a Reliquary Tower, Oppression, Hidetsugu, Starscream, Sweeping Boot, Spell Shock, Solfin Mayhem Dominus, a Pestilence, Cemetery Gatekeeper, Whispersteel Cloak, Whirling Vortex, and a Phyrexian Arena. And all those cards are €50 exactly. And don't forget, it's a €50 Precon upgrade, so some cards are going to have to go. First, we have Great's Arisen Nightmare. It's a great card, but it's really at our turn that we're gonna sacrifice and deal damage to our opponents or draw cards. And I don't think I have that much fodder to sacrifice. Brush Taunter is great for blocking, but it's a 5-mana card that maybe does things. Maybe it's a protection thing, it could be good. Who knows, but I took it out. Then we have Combustible Gearhulk, 6 mana for drawing 3 cards or deal damage in our turn. Who knows? Florian, same thing, it's in our turn. Gary, one of my favorite black cards, but we're playing Rakdos, so Gary is not gonna be used that much. Then we have Mayhem Devil, which is just too much of a maybe someone sacrifices something, and I am not going to do it. Then we have Morbid Opportunist. It's a decent card, but I think we're gonna draw a lot of cards with Valgavoth. Then we have a new card from the set, Persistent Constrictor. It's fine, but it's 5 mana, and we're gonna do those things for 3 mana. Then we have Rakdos Lord of Riot, which is great, but we're not gonna use it. Star Atheist, also a new card. It's a fun card, but I don't know why it's in the Precon. Surface Crusader is in my upkeep, so I don't want it. Tectonic Giants, the same thing. File Smasher, it's gonna be a different art, or I'm putting it in the deck. It's whenever you cast your first spell each turn, and I think personally it's more inconsistent. Amazing board wipe, but it's just too expensive to cast. Then we have a draw spell. We don't really care about drawing because we're gonna do it with Valgavoth. Left the stage, exile, it's fun. 5 mana, destroy 3 creatures or 4. Sign in Blood, yeah, we're good in the drawing cards part. Blood Pact, draw cards, yes, you guessed it. Rocket Storm, maybe. Best of Scholar, Lifelink, and Death Touch for our commander, probably. I don't know, it's not that good. We don't need Death Touch or Lifelink. Mask of Reservoir seems it could be good, but we're gonna do better. Salesworth, I think it's an amazing new card. If you're playing more of a Spellslinger deck, it might work better. And Butts Remembrance is really on the Aristocrat part that I don't really care much about. Alright, now let's get at the good part. The deck, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Let's look at the punishment. Pain is pleasure for us. Remember that. Those are the lines. Be like Hellraiser. Which says, whenever a player taps a land for mana, if Barflyer Gremlin is tapped, that player adds 1 mana of any type that land produced. Then that land deals 1 damage to the player. So it gives you a little bit of ramp, but it's also gonna punish you for tapping your lands. If you're smart, you're not tapping your lands for double, you're just doing your thing, but people who are greedy are going to get punished by it. Then we have a Bloodseeker. Creature enters the battlefield, they lose a life. A Cemetery Gatekeeper, whenever he enters the battlefield, exile a card from a graveyard. So let's say you exile a Misty Rainforest. Then, whenever a player plays a land or casts a spell, if it shares a card type with the exiled card, Cemetery Gatekeeper deals 2 damage to that player. For every land that enters the battlefield, Cemetery Gatekeeper deals 2 damage to that player. It's also going to be us, but it's going to be mostly our opponents. Then we have Enchanter's Bane. At the beginning of your end step, target enchantment deals damage equal to its converted mana cost up to its controller unless a player sacrifices it. It's not that good because it's in our turn, but it's kind of fun to just deal 10 damage for that asshole that plays the omniscience. Then we have Faden Reveler. Whenever opponent draws a card, Faden Reveler deals 1 damage to the player. A Gleeful Arsonist, also a new card from the set. Whenever opponent casts a non-creature spell, Gleeful Arsonist deals damage equal to its power to that player. So it's hopefully gonna be 1 the most of the time, but when it dies, she has Undying. So it goes back with a 1/1 counter, so it's gonna deal 2 damage for every non-creature spell. Whenever an opponent activates an ability, creature or land that isn't a mana ability, it deals 2 damage to that player. And then we have Heartless Hidetsugu. We can tap him and he's gonna deal damage to each player equal to half that player's life total rounded down. Since we're burning people for 1, 2, maybe 4 or 5, this will make sure it will be a lot quicker because everyone has their life total half. Then we have Kurvek the Merciless. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, Kurvek deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target. A super fun political tool to use against your opponents. Carter Doomscourge is whenever an attacking creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And it's also all the creatures are goaded from my opponents. And then we have the Cataract Parasite. Draw a card, lose a life. For 1 black mana, you just need a red permanent in play. And then Magebane Lizard. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Magebane Lizard deals damage equal to the number of non-creature spells they've cast this turn. And then we have everyone's favorite, Mana Barbs. Each time in a step for mana, Mana Barbs deals 1 damage to the land's controller. So you want the player 8 mana commander, you're tapping 8 lands, you're gonna lose 8 life, which can go fast. And the good thing about this deck, it isn't that much of a high moniker, so you can get away with it without being hurt that much by it. Another amazing reprint in the set, Mogra's God of Slaughter. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, it deals 2 damage to that player unless he or she sacrifices a creature. At the worst case, they're gonna sacrifice a creature. Best case, they're gonna lose 2 life. Then we have a Nightshade Harvester. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player loses 1 life. I put a 1/1 counter on Nightshade Harvester. Now we have Pestilence, a 4 mana enchantment that says at the end of any turn if there are creatures play, bury Pestilence, so if there are creatures, destroy Pestilence. And for 1 black mana, deal 1 damage to all creatures and players. Just this card, you can activate it 3 times and it will trigger Valgavoth 3 times in each opponent's turns. And then we have the Rampage of Rosedon. Roiling Vortex to make sure for 2 mana everyone loses life so you can use Valgavoth. And then we have another amazing card, it's called Spell Shock. Whenever players successfully cast a spell, Spell Shock deals 2 damage. So just whenever you do something, lose a life. Sir Conrad, and when a creature dies, they're gonna lose a life. And then we have the secondary commander of the set, the Lord of Pain. Perfect name for the card, which I think is a Kurvek the Merciless Light. Whenever a player casts a first spell each turn, choose another target player. Lord of Pain deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to the chosen player. So you can just say, hey, you played a 7 mana spell. What do you want to hurt? That's how you can play it. Reckless ones. And then we have the Theater of Horrors. This is a card advantage card, but you can also pay 4 mana and deal 1 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. It's like a worst pestilence, but you get a little bit of bonus for a little bit of card advantage. And then we go from Light Choking to BDSM. The Punishment Deluxe set. So we need a card like Roiling Vortex on the battlefield for it to work, because it's not going to work on its own. Let's first start off with Decklist Twin God, just double damage all around. Every damage that's dealt, it's going to be double. Then we have a new card from the set, Fear of Burning Alive, which deals 4 damage to each opponent, so you're going to burn them. And then whenever Source Control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, if there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard, Fear of Burning Alive deals that amount of damage to target creature. So you're gonna deal damage to an opponent, but you're also gonna deal damage to a creature they control. Then you have Furnace of Wrath. It's the same Addictive Twin Gods, only it's 1 less, but 1 red more. And then we have Osier Oxonial Deepest Might, which has a red source you control with deal amount of non-combat damage less than Osier Oxonial's power to an opponent. That source deals damage equal to Osier Oxonial's power instead. Now, this is why there are a lot of more red pips in the deck, because of this card. It's so good. You're gonna deal, instead of 1, you're gonna deal 4. Now we have one of my favorites. Whenever you play this card, your opponent's gonna hate you. Oppression. Whenever a player casts a spell, that player discards a card. Normally it will fuck you up as well, but we're gonna draw 3 cards every turn cycle whenever an opponent loses life in their turn. So we draw enough cards, so we can lose the cards that we play to cast a spell, and we want to just play our enchantments, play our creatures, and watch our opponents try to figure out how to not do anything more the rest of the game. So this could be really good. Then we have the more fun version for yourself, the Painful Quandary. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, the player loses 5 life unless they discard a card. So it's just an opponent, but they can also try or lose 5 life or discard a card. Eventually, because you're gonna burn them the whole time, they want to discard. So this could potentially be really good. Then we have one of the Phyrexian Horrors, the Solfin Mayhem Dominus. Source will deal if a source you control will deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent or opponent controls, it deals double that amount of damage. So just double non-combat damage. One of the new room mechanics, and I think I only want to play it for the right side. I think right side for you guys. I don't know how it is. Non-combat damage +2. That's it. Pretty good. And Torban almost does the same thing, but it says whenever a red source. And like I explained with Osier Oxonial, that's the thing we have most. So I think it's worth the odds. Remember, it's a Precon, so there are gonna be some cards that you're thinking like, is it that good? Probably not. And we got the first of those cards. We got at the front the Aristocrat Bunch. We have a Blood Artist. We have a Valgavoth Noble. Almost the same card. I kept those in because they're on whenever another creature dies. So it could be someone blocking, so someone loses life. Might be good. And Massacre Worm is a fine card. It's just good to have. 6 mana deals 2 damage to each creature, and then each opponent loses 2 life for every creature that died this turn. Alright, let's get to the board wipes. We have a Blasphemous Act. 13 damage to each creature, which can potentially be 1 mana, which is great. We have a Chain Reaction, which deals damage equal to the amount of creatures on the battlefield. But the thing is, when we're doing damage every turn cycle, Valgavoth is going to be pretty strong. So there's a big chance he's going to survive these types of board wipes. Then Challenge Ignition will make sure that he's the only creature on the battlefield. Men of Abaddon do kind of the same thing, but Chandler's Ignition deals damage to each opponent as well, which when we're punishing our opponents with 1 life there, 1 life there, 1 life there, this could potentially just kill them. Then we have Massacre Girl with Massacre Worm. Massacre Girl is just straight up board wipe. I don't think Valgavoth will survive her, but who knows? Then we have a Toxic Deluxe where you can just make sure Valgavoth is on 1 or 2 life. So that's great. Almost all of these board wipes will make sure Valgavoth stays on the board. Then we have a little bit of removal. We have Bedevil, Artifact Creature or Planeswalker, Chaos Warp for just any target, a Fetus Swarm, a sorcery speed removal, but also an enchantment. Infernal Grass, just 2 mana removal. And then a new card, Suspended Sentence. Destroy target creature an opponent controls. That player loses 3 life. Exile Suspended Sentence with 3 time counters on it. So you can keep removing cards from our opponents every 3 turns. It's such a fun new card. You can also spend it for 2 mana, so you can just play it and then watch people decide to play the commander in 3 turns. Then we have a few lands, the cards that will just burn our opponents. We have Leech Ruin Swamp, which is a swamp. And you can activate it for 1 black mana, and each opponent loses 1 life, which is great when you maybe don't have anything on your board state, or just late in the board and someone's cyclonic with you, so you can just try to gain back some momentum. And the same is with Ship and Gorge. We have the classic black staple, in my opinion, a Friction Arena. My friction is pretty good, so I can read. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life, and then you draw a card. It's just good to fill up your hand. They have some Selectron that search for a land, and when it dies, you get to draw a card. It's good to have a little bit of blocker, and it's always good to have a sad robot in here. Then we go to a little bit of Draw Matters cards, and Necrosar, but in an enchantment. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. And whenever a player draws a card, Spiteful Vision deals 1 damage to that player. So every turn, people are going to draw an extra card, but you're going to lose 2 life each upkeep. Psychosis Crush, whenever I draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. So every turn cycles, people are going to lose 4 life. Then we have Starscream, which comes in as a jet if you're smart. And whenever he deals combat damage to a player, that player becomes a monarch. So whenever I become a monarch, he transforms. And it says whenever I draw a card, target opponent loses 2 life. So it's just more of the shooting things while you're drawing cards, which you're gonna do every turn cycle. There I have a little bit of protection. The Lightning Greaves, the Silver Boots, and the Wisp of Silk Cloaks, which just gives it Shroud and a blockable Hexproof and Shroud as well. Then we have the ramp with the Arcane Signet. Barbaric Gremlin is maybe a ramp. Decanter of Endless Waters, which gives no maximum hand size. We have a Felwar Stone, a Mind Stone, Rectal Signet, Soul Ring, Solemn Simulacrum, Talisman, and Thought Vessel. These 2 are really good because you want to keep the cards that you have in your hands. For 50 euros, I think you can have a really good deck. It's a budget upgrade, but there are so many strong cards that just fulfill the purpose of the deck already. You can go crazy and add cards like Orc's Bowmaster or Show That the Apocalypse will do much more of the same thing you're already doing. It doesn't have to be that expensive for the cards, but you can also add a Mana Crypt or a Jeweled Lotus because they're cheap as well right now, but you can play them. So yeah, that's the Commander Deck Tech Precon Upgrade 50 euro special. It's a good deck. I really like it. I really like playing it. There will be a new gameplay episode. Edwin plays Nico and I play Valgavoth, and the deck did exactly what I wanted it to do. It plays exactly how you build it. It's amazing. It's such a fun deck to pick up and just watch your opponents struggle with doing things they normally do, but now they're losing life and you're gaining an advantage. I know, I love it. Rectal seems to be my color these days. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. You guys are gonna help us out so much. Tell me what cards I should add, or did I forget? Keep in mind, it's a 50 euro budget, but let me know what cards I should include in the deck, and maybe I will. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next time. Meh.